में आप सबका स्वागत है. Today we're going to talk of something very, very interesting. You know, there's a discount sale going on in China. In fact, China is on a discount sale. That's why I said discount sale of China. And we'll talk about the wars of the dragon, the dragonomic wars. Actually, 2 days I had to go to Hyderabad, and then you know, had really nothing to do, so I kept looking at various things. And something very, very interesting things came out, about China and the kind of sales which are there in China, with the kind of subsidies which are there in China. They're struggling. They're struggling to get consumption in. So, no one is prepared to buy anything. In fact, the whole story is going down ulta. So then I said, okay, let me put things in a bit of a, you know, mm, order and give you a presentation and explain to you what's happening in China. Okay, I mean that it's rather funny. Actually, it's funny, right? The first sale, China has given out $14 million vouchers for tourism. भाई ये लो वाउचर और टूरिज्म करो कहीं भी जाओ मतलब the whole idea of China is how to make people spend. भाई खर्चा कर लो किसी तरीके से. So 14 million, right? It's not a joke to give out. The government is giving. It's not individual firms and all that. And then Hainan. Hainan is their duty-free hub. Okay, that's resorted to giving vouchers. Just look at it. These are all duty-free. Heaven hands out $3.4 million worth of vouchers for spending. कि आके इधर खर्च करो, you get 3. They're prepared to give that much out. 14 million for tourism. The government gives. You come to Hainan and you get vouchers so that you get everything sasta. Desperate. I mean, this is something. Okay, that's not enough. What has Michael Pettis, who I've always said is one of the best, chaps who can analyze China. What does he say? He says retail sales have been sliding in the duty-free heaven of Hainan as China's economy struggles with a sluggish post-pandemic recovery and weakening spending. Hainan's average duty-free sales fell by 24% year on year. 24%. Just think. And no wonder those chaps are giving so many this thing. Okay. Okay. The third part is interesting. But he says all this which these chaps are giving hardly seems a meaningful amount. So I wonder if the authorities are just testing waters and plan to come out with a bigger package in the future. Or they want to simply look to like they're addressing a problem which they can't otherwise resolve. Both are they testing waters and this thing. But I'll talk of it a little later, this analysis. This is now, let me give the facts. The sale, China on sale. And then, of course, in the end, we'll take open hour. There's no problem. And then the Chinese EV makers, they are also going at loss because they're overproduced. And now they're cutting each other's throats. So they're going at loss. They're also giving steep discount. Discounted discount in China. Discount ka voucher hai. It's raining discounts in China. Okay. Then home prices. Even through July, home prices have gone down. So what do Chinese developers and cities tempt home buyers with perks like private jet shares and residency? Can you imagine? So if you buy a house, you get 0.5% of a private jet. I don't know what that fellow will do with that private jet 0.5%. Okay. The freaky. If you go through these articles, the kind of incentives which are being given out are mind blowing. Okay. Then of course, all the unfinished homes they want to finish, and they're struggling to finish. Now, because of all these property, yeah, all that, the steel makers are in a glut. There is a glut of steel in China. Now, China has capped every steel maker that he cannot produce more than necessary, or they've said, don't produce more than this. So, the Chinese steel, which is, you know, I told you this long back, the property is the biggest pillar of China, this economy. Now, when the property falls, steel is the first, steel and cement, tuck. So, steel is now going. Now, what happens if steel goes? Their economy is now not going up, it's going down. Right? No one's buying new flats, no one is this thing. So, if you'll see that a lot of small steel mills in China will now start folding up. Now, if that happens, then the bigger का time ही है, एक time आ जाएगा. Actually, in this, no, we need to be very careful because the lot of our FDI they're trying to come with steel only and think like that. There's one question also someone has asked: is FDI still on? Our government, I don't know if our government seems to have had a drink too much that they're still asking FDI to get from China. Our fellow is already crying and killing himself. You get FDI and you revive his economy. Some stupidity. I don't understand what the story is. And then you see the woes in the economy. And the look, today I've got more from Caxin and Ikai. Caxin and Ikai are their prime websites of economics. 30,000 local financial entities face proper scrutiny. Why? There's bloody fraud going on there. This is from Caxin. What does Ikai say? China's number of small loan firms plunges 40% in 9 years. Over the past 10 years, 10 years, 40% of the firms have gone microcredit. Well, so this is the actual truth of this country. Will it collapse anytime? I won't be surprised. It'll survive in some manner, but you think it's a great power? I don't think so. One of the first guys who'll few chaps who'll comment are 2 3 regular Chinese guys. There's one chap called Red Bull. He'll talk of all nonsense. If he is listening to this part of the story, please, Red Bull ji, tumhara pura all this data is from China. It is not from India. It is not Indian Express or Hindu, not Times of India or Navbharat Times. It is all from international, portals of China. So look at this. This is the okay. Now, in this article, if you go through, it explains how the Chinese advantage, the low cost advantage, is going away. Why is low cost advantage going away? If you look into this, very very simple. One is the workforce is reducing. Second, no orders. If there are no orders, factories are closing. If factories are closing, the workforce is moving away. If a workforce is not available with you for some time, it's no more an experienced workforce. So overall, the cost of workforce is increasing, but the income is going down. Yeah, it's all contradictory. And they need to innovate. What innovation can they do? They can get AI, robots, AI, they can produce 100 more. If they produce 100 more, who will buy? That's already the problem with the EVs. You saw, I showed you. And I'm not getting data from my head. This is all Chinese chaps saying. So Rajkumar Pardesi is asking, sir, what about FDI? Whose FDI? Their FDI, my FDI, what? We'll talk of it. Okay. Then you see Venture capital hits Gavekal Dragonomics. Gavekal Dragonomics is Gavekal is a system which monitors China closely and global economics. He says venture capital in China has hit a wall. That's the left part. You have, let me enlarge it. On the left part, you see venture capital hits a wall. Say, let me fully enlarge it. He says over the past 2 decades, foreign venture capital and private equity firms played a catalytic role in China's technology industries. They funded many of the startups in almost every sector, including not just the familiar net behemoth, but also in every sector. And that has stopped now. Finished. There's no venture capital coming in. There's no FDI coming in. And he's also spoken, analyzed the wrong way to do consumer stimulus. I'll talk of it in the end, but just let me read it out. You'll understand what the thinking is. China's government sounds increasingly committed to boost consumer spending. There's no doubt. Everyone says consumerism, consumer spending jada karo in China. Yeah, but this man Hernan argues that as in the past, its consumption policies are in practice measures to support consumer faring industries and not consumption itself. So China is still in, giving subsidies to the industry, the manufacturing side, the supply side, not to the consumer. I'm not getting anything. So if suppose, let me explain this. Uh, right, are in practice measures to support consumer facing industries, not consumption itself. Just look at this. Okay, I have a mobile. Okay, right. So there's a mobile firm. So this mobile firm is being given money to produce more mobiles. So that fellow will produce more mobiles with the subsidies being given and stimulus being given and all that. Manufacturing. Why will I buy it? I'm not able to buy it. I'm not getting stimulus. So your consumer stimulus is at the wrong end. Unless I get money in my hand, I will not buy a mobile. So that's the problem with China. They are not able to resolve this part of the story. Okay, let's look at it. Then the world's largest iPhone factory, it has lost momentum. Because why? It is diversifying away from China. I've always maintained China will not collapse. Let's be very clear about it. China will not collapse. I maintain it. It will just slow down. One day you'll find that China is in such internal problems. There might be a revolution, something else might happen, and all that. But that huge infrastructure will revive itself. But will it revive itself again to become a peak power like it was, say, in the past 10 years? No, that's gone. People can say anything they want. It's a global power, A power, O power, but I don't think so. I'm giving you hard facts. How long will an economy which is going down sustain its military spending? And what will that military achieve? Zero. But that's a story for another day. We'll today stick to Dragonomics. Okay. Then what? China is trying to heat up its economy with 28 billion nuclear power investment in reactors. So it wants to up nuclear. In one way, it's good. But again, this is investment into infrastructure. Look at it. It's putting money in power. But for factories are closing down. So all infrastructural investment which China has done, whether it's roads or bridges or cities or now space, AI, robotics, everything, there's no return on investment. When you actually spend on investment, infrastructure, that infrastructure starts paying back. You put a road to a factory, very good. So trucks will go to that factory. If trucks go to the factory, outside that factory gate, there'll be a mechanic, there'll be a tire puncture wala, There'll be some chap selling chai. Some chap will give these fellows some services. Okay, you come and stay at night. There'll be a daba. Something will come up. Economy grows that way. That's the way economy grows. But after some time, that the cost will go up, everything will go up, labor will go up, and will become negative. So China has gone into that loop. Any more factories coming in is no use because you can keep producing that, but who'll buy it? There's no one to buy it. The people are not buying. Why they're not buying? I'll come to the end. Okay. Now let's look at the demography. They're very interesting articles I came across. Okay. This first one, put a ring on. Chinese women do not need marriage anymore. They're very clear in this analysis. They're very clearly saying we don't want to get married. Get lost. Mr. Xi Jinping, take a walk. There's no question of our getting married. We have money. We have whatever we want. We're well educated. We're not interested in getting married. On the other hand, you see the right one. Love and marriage. China's Dalibai region pledges to help its 33,000 bachelors find wives. So government has become a matchmaker. It's a local government, but I'm sure other governments are also doing the same thing. So there, and what is important here is that there are 33,000 bachelors. Now, this is a result of two phenomenon. One, there is female infanticide in China. They prefer males. So as it is, their male female ratio is skewed. Now ladies are saying take a walk. Okay, end of story. So the marriages are coming down, babies are coming down, demography is going down. It is not going to go back up. And what's more, this problem they knew from 2010 and they done nothing about it. Okay, so we should be very clear when we talk of China. How do you place it? Okay, I mean, I'm not talking today, I'm not talking geopolitically. Geopolitically, if you see today, China is stuck with Philippines. Today, also, there was a second collision between two of their Coast Guard vessels. China is trying to put its navy, its air force, this, that, all that. So it's stuck. It will defeat Philippines. Philippines ke paas kya hai? But will it get its political aim and objective? No. Let one bullet fly there, then you watch the US Navy in action there. If if USA has got guts, that's the rider. In fact, in this case, both don't have guts. Even China doesn't have the guts to do all this nonsense. That's why. Now, see what China's are doing. You don't have to trust the Chinese to do something crooked always against their own people. So what is it? In China today, you can get married easily, but you can't get divorced. Why? If people get divorced, और भी घाटा है इनका. So divorce laws are become tougher, and you can get married easily. कैसे भी कर लो शादी, but divorce नहीं होगा. So China has gone to this extent. You know, this might look funny, and this might look natural, but just think how desperate this country is that they are now stopping divorces. Okay, I'm not saying that everyone should get divorced or something. But a chap, if a couple doesn't want to get divorced, so be it. Yeah, you can't stay together, get lost. But in China, they can't afford that. Okay. Demography. You see the demographic problem which is coming up in China. Uh, Look at it from a slightly different point of view. How long back did this problem surface in China? 5, 6, 7 years, 10 years? When did you come to know, all of you? Each of you scratch your head and see. When did you come to know? When till last year people are saying, ठीक है यार, क्या फर्क पड़ता है? वो कुछ लोग कम हो गए तो क्या फर्क पड़ता है? इतना 1.4 billion people है ही. My mind goes back to Jack Ma. 3 years back, during COVID, I read an article in which Jack Ma said very clearly, 1.4 billion seems a lot of people. But when things happen, that 1.4 billion are not much. And add to the fact that they might not have 1.4 billion. My guess is they are somewhere between 1.1 billion and 1.2 billion. That's why the buggers are bloody flapping. They're flapping like flamingos. And if people are not there, what economy are you talking about? What rot are we talking about? So you'll see things happening faster. Actually, they fast forwarded. If you see a 3 year trajectory of China, 3 year trajectory of China, the decline is fast. It's not a matter of GDP. All the other indicators are going down. Okay, let's look at it. Let's look at a few other things. This is a new thing which I've heard. I mean, not this, the next one, but this. China vows to make key social security fund bigger, stronger amid aging population. So demography, aging population, they don't have money. This is actually an admittance of the fact that they don't have money to look after the old people. Look, in India, things are different. I have no doubt. We don't look after our old people well. We don't have a pension system, national pension system. We have one, but it doesn't cater for a lot of people. But uh, uh, we have a social or a cultural net through which in the village, in the this thing where the old people are taken care of. That doesn't happen in China because the communists broke all that. Yeah. Now, Jai Hind Sahab, Jai Hind Srinivas, how are you? Srinivas Ponada was in my unit, so I know him very well. Thank you for attending this. Okay. And then, of course, this is something for the first time I've heard. And let's see how it goes. I've just shown it to you as a marker. Government must do more to tackle food insufficiency in Hong Kong. Insufficiency. There are two aspects to this. One, Hong Kong doesn't have enough food. The second, people in Hong Kong don't have enough money to buy food. That's what this article is all about. So, where does it go? Where does this country go? I mean, every day I read these five, six uh, portals, something new comes up. Okay. Now let's move to a bit to the stock shock and all that. Stock में तो shock ही है वैसे. Okay. Now what does this say? This says China stock wolves funds shun equities for bonds, ETFs, luxury homes in downbeat market. So there's a bond frenzy for bonds. Why there's a frenzy for bonds? That's the last hope because that gives fixed income. So that too long-term bond, so that your money is safe long-term. They're placing a lot of confidence in their government. Look, any bond is as good as the government. If the government fails, the bonds go. Right? They're not worth the paper they are written on. So there's a lot of faith in the government. Will the government deliver is a different story. The interest rates are going down, the yields are going down, whatever the equation is. Problem. Okay. And then this is important. Kevin, today, why China's 220 million retail investors are shying away from the market? Again, graphical dragonomics. See the last one. They prefer bonds. That's the first thing because it gives some fixed income. They don't want to go in for stocks. The last thing is important. Optimism is lower despite government efforts to boost market confidence. People are not optimistic. The people are pessimistic. If the people are pessimistic, where do you go? That's the question. Okay. And then, this is something which I showed some time back, but I'm repeating it so that you understand this business of stocks, why people are not entering stock. Now, you have a look at it closely. If you look at it closely, this is a 5 year uh, index performance. In 5 years, how has various global indices performed? The top left is Nikkei 225, Nikkei index. If you see that arrow is going up in 5 years, if you see the New York Stock Exchange, again the arrow is going up. You see Stock Exchange left corner, bottom, again it's going up. In fact, it's got the best results in the past 5 years. You look at the Shanghai Composite Index, flat. If 5 years back, if you put money in the index, you might just have that same amount of money. Whereas in Bombay Stock Exchange, in 5 years, you would have doubled it. Maybe in Nikkei and New York Stock Exchange, you wouldn't have doubled it, but you're somewhere there. So that is the problem. The stock over a long-term period, Chinese stocks are not performed. If Chinese stocks over the past 5 years are not performed, who will invest in that fund? Who will invest in the Chinese stocks? No one will. So that is why money is not coming. Even hot money is not coming in. So this is a major problem with China, that which we have to understand. Okay, now I'm going to explain this China stimulus trap. Everyone talks that China should give stimulus to improve the consumption. How does it operate? How will it operate? If you don't understand it, well, I just tried to put it in as simple terms as possible so that you understand it. It'll take another 3-4 minutes. After that, we'll go in for open hour. Look at this cycle. Chinese traditionally have high savings, right? So what the government has been doing is, because of high savings, they've taken the money of the savings and used it for investment. That is, say you buy national savings certificate, like in India we used to buy, and at that time we used to do. The government used to say, "Please save. We'll give you a lot of interest if you save," because there was no capital in India. Same thing in China. That was their thinking. So people save money without spending. This is traditional in China. So they save money. That money is taken for investment. So when the investment happens, progress takes place, GDP grew. And then incomes grew. Incomes grew, more saving. More saving, more investment, more the cycle. It kept going till this whole story was expanding. One day this expansion stopped because it had to stop. Because the investment was no more giving savings. Right. But that was not all. With high saving, I saved enough that I want to buy a flat. So I went to debt. So with high saving came debt. Okay. With that high debt and that high debt, high saving, but still it went into investment because I bought a flat. Investment. With investment in not only flat, in steel and things like that, which I explained to you. So there was high exports. Manufacturing was great. If export-led economy, so again everything it was all nice, hunky dory. So far, so good. But all this has a limit. I'm putting it very simplistically. A good economist will say, यार तू बेवकूफ है. But ठीक है, हम तो अपने हिसाब से समझेंगे ना. आप किस तरीके से समझना चाहते हो वो देख लो. Okay. Then what happens? People are in high debt. There is investment going on. But when all this is happening, there are low exports. The global tensions have increased. Pay cuts have happening. There are job losses, especially after the pandemic. Then government debts have gone, both local and central government, or the government in Beijing. And then there's a demographic decline which has started. So where is the high saving? That resulted in low or no savings. So a person, you look at the top left. So today, a person in China has low or no saving and a high debt. Where will he go? and the government is continuing investing. And amongst this story, you think this Chinese will get out of this trap? They should get out of this trap, otherwise they're sunk. And that's what they're trying. Don't think Xi Jinping and his economists are fools. They're trying their level best, but they're not. That's the point I keep making. We think they'll recover, but they're not able to recover. Right. Now, what happens? The common story is that यार stimulus दे दो, लोगों को stimulus दे दो, दे देंगे. I'm in debt. मेरे पास जॉब नहीं है, कुछ नहीं है. मेरे पास अगर कल कोई पैसा दे देगा, someone gives me money, what will I do first? I say, look, what the money I have, I'll survive. Okay, the money I have, I'll give it off for repayment of debt because I can't afford to keep paying that fellow interest every month. So I do debt repayment first. I mean, I'm looking at psychology of people. So will that mean consumption? It will result in low consumption. Isn't it a no-brainer? A chap in debt, if he gets free money, will he consume more or repay debt? You put yourself in your own position, and especially when you don't have a job and your pay cut has happened. So then what happens? So you still have a high debt. There's no stimulus. There's already low consumption has happened. Now, if I put stimulus, the Chinese government is putting stimulus into investment more. So if you're putting more, they're producing more. So you still exports have gone down overall. Global tensions are there. There's no FDI coming in. Your stocks are down. If I had invested in stocks, my money is gone. I'm having pay cut. I have no job. Their government is in debt, local government and central government. There's a demographic decline. Now, because the government is stimulating the investment and the manufacturing side, I have overcapacity, which I can't sell. So anyway, savings is low. Now, stimulus also can't come from heaven. It's the government which has to do the stimulus. So they have to borrow from somewhere. That means that overall debt goes up. They are in actually a negative cycle. I read this article today by Michael Pettis again, written for Carnegie Endowment. Carnegie में आया है. You go to his website, you'll find it. Now, what is he saying? That he says, look, it's easy to say consumption के लिए stimulus दो, but how do you do it? He's explained it in very technical terms. I will explain to you in non-technical desi terms. Some time back, about 3-4 months back, Paul Krugman, who's a Nobel Prize in economy, he's written and said, oh, I don't understand why China is not giving stimulus to people. Now, the problem is that in America, stimulus to people works. They'll spend. Not in China. The Chinese think differently. So they have our capacity. That's why you see in the beginning I said the EVs are giving discounts. Over capacity of property, discounts, everything is in discount. एक पूरा देश डिस्काउंट में चल रहा है आज के दिन. China is a discounted nation. Okay. So, I mean, this is where the whole story of China on discount ends. I will now take on your questions. We'll go for the open hour now, and this is where the open hour starts. 15-20 minutes, then we'll right. Okay. Yeah, ask, is Chinese FDI on or off or under still consideration? Completely untrustworthy. I agree with you. This government of ours, unfortunately, I'm not happy. They are not playing clean with us. They're not telling us cleanly what they have done or not done. So let's see. Hello, General Shankar. Hello, Kamala Soros. Good morning. Good evening. How are you? And Akash, Jai Hind. Right. Same with you, Bala. Good evening. Vanakkam. This man from Pakistan, उसका एक ही डंका है. China is a superpower about to overtake USA. आप डंका बजाते रहो, पाकिस्तान वहीं भिखारी का भिखारी रहेगा, ये मैं आपको वादा कर रहा हूँ। ओके, आज के दिन पाकिस्तान में, मैं आज बहुत दिन से पाकिस्तान के बारे में बात नहीं कर रहा हूँ, आज के दिन पाकिस्तान को आईएमएफ का लोन मिल नहीं रहा। दे वेंट टू द आईएमएफ, आईएमएफ से ठीक है हम दे देंगे पर ये कर लेना। दे वेंट टू चाइना, वो ये करने के लिए सर्टेन कंडीशंस। दे वेंट टू चाइना, चाइना से हम नहीं करेंगे आपको, आप ये करो, ये से कुछ और आ गया। नो, पाकिस्तानीज आर बैक, दे आर रनिंग अराउंड चाइनीज के भाई मान लो, हमें दे दो। कुछ नहीं हो रहा। आप तो यू नो ये असीम मुनीर को, वो ना एक खटोरा कान बन रहा है, वो और इमरान खान, दे कैन सिट ऑन द रोड। या गिव अ prediction on the Indian and Chinese economy in 2047, predicting Indian economy the 550. It doesn't matter, Jawaharlal, whether we are 55 trillion or not. What matters in economics is not the money, it is the quality of the money, right? Is more important to me. Um, so don't bother about this nonsense. If you fall into the Chinese trap by the figures, then you're a fool always. Don't get fooled. Uh, with our money, with what we have, I think we are heading in the right direction, slow and steady. Don't. Now, which economy will be better in 2047 or not? You forget it. I did a program. Who will be the stronger power in 2030? Have a look at it. Have a look at it. You'll understand. There are articles that mention Tesla using giga casting to manufacture EVs in China. And now Chinese brands also use this. What is giga casting? What is the difference in cost in the? I'll have to check out. I have not heard this term, Partha. Let me do some research and get back to you. Costa, good evening. Sir, China does have a way out. It will need to globally declare Chapter 11 bankruptcy. Although it's an American concept, it might just work for them. Your views. Akash, actually, you said the right thing. Okay. This is what a lot of economists are now saying. You know, when USA went through the Great Depression in the 30s, they let the Great Depression happen. They didn't. People went bankrupt, so be it. You can't control everything. And then it revived. But that you can do in a democracy, in a capitalist democracy. This is the communist system. अगर वो चैप्टर 11 बैंक्रप्सी कर देगा तो वो तो गया सी जिनपिंग, उसका भी चैप्टर 11 हो जाएगा. Yeah, Sonia, right. Good evening, General Sir. Jai Hind from USA. Bharat Mata ki Jai. Thank you, Sonia. Thank you for watching all the way from USA. Yeah. Please watch the YouTube channel Separator who exposes. Thank you. Thanks a lot. I believe it's not a matter of exposing China. It's a matter of understanding China. To understand China, a lot of people say, China में से पता नहीं चलता. It's not so. आप पढ़ो, पता चलता है. I've been reading China now close 40 years, 50 years. Initially, it was only military reading, but towards the end of my retirement, I started reading, other issues, military related. Now I've gone to a holistic thing, and to me, it's very clear where China is. Sir Z emerged from hiding this week, so I have views change on the topic of what actually happened to him. Could he have been unwell? How risky is a coup in China, given fear of Z? See, that day also I said things might change when he comes out, and it's too early for us to predict. On that day, when I said he's in hiding, that day also I said he's not dead, he's going to come out. But so far, from then to now, what has changed? He's made a few public appearances and a few public utterances. Not rigorous. He's not given any policy direction. He's not given any leadership so far. Nothing. In fact, he still seems to be holding back. Either is holding back or is being pushed back. We don't know. It'll come out. Be patient. With China, you have to be patient. Things don't happen in a hurry. Things will happen slowly. It's in my view that he is either being sidelined or he is not well. He might be in public domain, but I don't know whether he's well or not. So let us wait. You should think, be patient. Yeah, what drove the real estate growth to a dead end? What was the strategy? I've explained this many times, Arunachal. It's like this. Uh, you know, the real estate developers just got greedy, as simple as that. And they started expanding. They expanded from real estate into other businesses. Those businesses failed. And they thought they can continue the cycle. They would have continued the cycle. Let me be very honest. They would have continued the cycle, but for the fact that Xi Jinping put down his three red lines. And one of the red lines was each factory to have, I mean, each developer to have money had to have a bank balance. This cash flow had to be on the table. They didn't have any of that because everything was on Udar. When that happened, they got stuck. Now, why did Xi Jinping do that? Actually, Xi Jinping was right to do that. If he had not done that, this whole burst would have taken place in such a manner it would have been uncontrolled. They knew exactly what they were doing. The only thing is they are not able to control it. They've been look what happened in 2007 8 in USA. I must tell you, 2007 I was in USA. I spent about a month or two there doing a course. And when I was doing the course, I used to see a lot of construction. I used to ask people, hey, why are people constructing so much? Because people are buying. I said, who's buying? So people said, anyone can buy, anyone will get a loan. Oh, I said, very good, yaar, मैं भी खरीद लो. कहता, हाँ, खरीद लो. आप, if you can't pay your money back, they'll make some arrangement so you can keep slowly buying. Pay. I felt it was funny. And soon enough, within a year, that whole thing broke. The global financial crisis happened. But it happened. No one stopped it. No one fingered with it. China, the same thing happened. But China controlled it. China knew it, China controlled it. Now, and the problem is that USA in 2007 8 let it go. The whole thing collapsed and it's no back. Today, house prices in USA are at the highest. I went last month and spent some time. I didn't see any new house coming there. And no one is prepared to buy a house because it's so costly. Even old houses are costly, new houses are costly. Interest rates are very high. They're not able to, so it's gone peaked again in a matter of about 10 years. China, it's not going to happen. It's going down, it'll go down. It's taken 7 years to 10 years for it to come to this level. And they're not able to control it. I've explained to you. Their strategy was a slow collapse. But this collapse has been wider. That's the problem with China. And China doesn't have the tools to control this whole story being a communist country. That's the Xi Jinping has decided to maintain a low profile and behave like a pigeon uh, who closes his eyes thinking the economic danger will pass by. Your views? I don't think so. He's a pretty shrewd guy. He'll not go in a hurry. Let's not live in a fool's paradise ourselves. He's there. The fact is he well or not? If he's not well, sorry. If he is not well, he'll back off. But if he is well, he'll come back. So let us see. But if there is a movement against him within the Politburo, who knows? So, I mean, you can't predict all these so easily. Be patient. That's why I said be patient.